Council Member, Agency Director, Authority Member Molly.
Present.
Mann.
I am present.
Underwood Jacobs.
Here.
Vice Mayor, Vice Chairman Christ.
Present.
Mayor, Chairman Paris.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. So who's doing the invocation tonight? Daryl, where are you?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, but the deputy mayor has already given 3 this calendar year. And pursuant to our policy, we would need to select somebody else.
I never read anywhere in the Bible that you can only pray 3 times a year. Have you ever read that? Let's vote. Anybody read that? Anybody?
We
No.
have a minister here, Mayor, from our that can give the
Okay.
of the Christian ring.
You folded way too easy. You know that?
I come to protect you.
Good evening, everyone. Father God, we thank you today for your grace and your mercy. God, we thank you for all the things that you're doing in our lives and in this city. God, we ask that today would be a great day of just great ideas, innovative ideas, and coming together as one. Lord, bless this house, bless our mayor, bless our council, and bless this city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. You want to do the pledge?
Sure. Please place your right hand over your heart and recite with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, Marvin, it actually is indivisible, not invisible.
At least you're listening.
Okay. Summer Impact Program presentation. Why don't you, who's going to tell us about that first? Okay.
For you.
Good.
Good evening, Mayor Paris, Vice Mayor Christ, and Council. I am so excited to stand before you tonight to talk about impact.
Were you on a skateboarding accident?
Oh, I knew that was going to come up. I tried to just go right into it. I'd love to say it was a great story, but it's not, so we'll just move on. We were camping. There was whitewater rafting. That's not how it happened. It happened with a really heavy citronella candle on my toe, and I broke it in 2 places. Yay! And then there was no whitewater rafting. You will recall the Impact Initiative kicked off late last year with the goal of beautifying our community and increasing our civic pride and trust through, among other things, various investments in our infrastructure and engaging our community in new ways. An offshoot of the Impact program, which was just conceived this past February, it quickly gained momentum, and it did so faster than we could have ever hoped for. In 4 short months, with your blessing, staff conceived and implemented the Summer of Impact, a volunteer-based effort we hoped would engage our local youth in civic affairs. 50 students applied for this program, and 30 were selected to participate. Throughout the past 8 weeks, college students, many of them home just for the summer months, as well as local high school students, partnered with the city to provide the students with a glimpse into how city government works. And it also gave us, the City of Lancaster, insight into how we motivate and engage the next generation of our civic leaders in our community. The students planned their summer themselves based on the types of activities that they believe would most benefit them and the community at large. They coordinated much of and participated in everything from illegal dump cleanups to summer feeding programs, special events, neighborhood community days, and attended workshops on everything from skill building to resume writing to on-the-job training and mock interviews. And they even put together our first ever teen lounge. And they documented their experiences every step of the way, and we are all going to be better for this program. Here to tell you the specific details about their accomplishments in their own words are team members Giovanni Pope, Hannah Torres, and Giovanni Cabrera.
So good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the public and of the council. Good evening, Mayor. My name is Giovanni Pope, and I'm the co-captain of our social media team here at the Summer of Impact.
Hello, my name is Hannah Torres, and I am captain of the social media committee.
Hello, good evening. My name is Samantha, and I'm co-captain of our beautification committee.
I'm Giovanni, and I was in every single committee.
So as you can see from the mind maps demonstrated here on these slides, a few weeks ago we decided to come together and have a meeting of the minds. Wait a minute,
how did you learn about mind maps?
I mean, in Avid they teach us this, but we also had some pretty incredible facilitators too.
I didn't hear that.
Sorry. So, there we go. Okay, so we did this in our Abbott classes at school, but we also had some amazing program facilitators that taught us about mind mapping as well.
I'm impressed.
So a few weeks ago, we came together to have a meeting of the minds to discuss exactly what areas we wanted to tackle over the course of our summer, how we could really truly make an impact on our community. We did so through brainstorming ways in which we could develop ourselves personally, through activities such as public speaking and making sure that we are ready to enter a job in the workforce, making sure that we're ready to go to college, that we were able to build our resumes. And in doing those things, we were then able to take those skills that we had learned in leaders in training and really lead our community in innovative ways through areas such as sustainable development and beautification, through cleanups, which you'll find out more about later, and other areas such as engaging our youth both online and offline through social media, as well as events and workshops dedicated specifically to their needs and interests.
So our Summer of Impact program is a 10-week program, as many know, but this program allows volunteers from ages 14 to 26 be more involved with our community, and as well be more involved with trash cleanups, painting projects that we hosted in these 10 weeks. And this program allows the volunteers, if they donate 100 hours, they're able to be offered a scholarship, a $1,000 scholarship.
Here are some of our volunteers from Summer of Impact. We're going to show you what big of an impact out of 10 weeks that we can make.
So our volunteers donated 2,700 hours in the many cleanups that were hosted, 12 community events that we facilitated, 11 sites that were cleaned in many areas in Lancaster, and 9 workshops such as resumes building and college readiness. And the many cleanups that we had, we gathered 550 bags of trash, 22,000 pounds of it, which is equivalent to 7 hippos, and out of our most trash cleanup, we were able to collect 76 bags of trash. And this is near Lancaster High School, and this is where we collected the 70 bags of trash. And here are just more images of what we collected.
This is our mock interviews. At our mock interviews, we had some of our department supervisors, and when we walked in there, they didn't tell us. They gave us constructive criticism towards the end, and they helped us on what we can improve on looking forward to our future job. This was our cleanup by Discovery. This was one of the worst ones that we went to. We went over there at 8. We were there to 11:30. We tried to get out before the sun, but the sun came out anyways. This is our painting project from Jane Reynolds. We painted around the pool facility. When we were there, we got separated, and we painted in total 3 miles of paint. This was our our college readiness. We had one of our administrators from AVC come and talk to us on how we can prepare ourselves for college and how we can get ready looking forward on if we wanted to switch, because I'm planning to switch after 2 years, so he just gave us more information on college.
Okay, so we knew in order to make this program successful that we should focus on certain things. So we created 4 committees. Our first one being the tech committee, and they focused on collecting data such as how many trash bags we picked up. They also created flyers for our events, and they created this presentation. We also had the youth committee, and their main focus was the teen lounge. So at the teen lounge, there was 165 teens that attended, and the age range was from 12 to 18 years old, but the majority of them were 15 to 18 years old. And here's a time lapse of them walking in. But we wanted to create a safe place for the teenagers of Lancaster to hang out. And I say that it was a safe place because there was no drugs, there was no alcohol, no weapons, and there was no fighting the whole entire night. And as you can see, we also had a DJ, and we recruited him from Lancaster High School. He's actually a teacher there. And he donated his time the whole entire event to DJ for free. We also had activities such as card games that you can see our volunteers and our guests playing. And we also had a social media committee, and their committee, we wanted to document the whole journey with our family, our friends, people from our community, and we also wanted to try and reach people outside of our community. So we did things like interactive posts, such as the Did You Know, and that had to do with, did you know that you could go to the recycling center and recycle things like oils, electronics for free. We also did another one where they were able to drag the little finger to what movie they would like to see at a movie night. And on Facebook, we had 5 posts, and we were able to reach around 17,000 people. We had around 3,000 engagements, 704 likes, 70 comments, and 56 shares. And on our Instagram that we created, we were able to reach around 900 people. We had 101 followers, which is now 174 followers. We had around 1,001 likes, 30 stories, and around 5,000 story views.
So for our beautification committee, we hosted our very big event, which was on August 2nd at Tierra Bonita Park. So at this event, we were able to do a partnership with the Lancaster School District, their summer feeding program. So that allowed us to have many children at this event, and so we basically let them more know how to beautify our city by giving them more, giving them, as you can see in the image, we were able to let them know how to plant, and we were able to take a plant home, and as well as have many games and crafts for them that day.
So as you can see from the slide here, we had our community cleanup event about 2 weeks ago, in which we were able to focus on the Monte Vista neighborhood and fulfilling the STIR initiative through the city of Lancaster, which entailed making sure that the Monte Vista neighborhood was as beautiful as a community can be. And we really wanted to focus on our efforts on restoring civic pride in that community through events and resources such as curbside cleanups, curbside pickups for electronic waste. We had dumpsters on site for anyone that needed to put their waste that they had accumulated in their house onto the curb, where it would be disposed of in a safe and proper way, completely free of charge. In addition to that, we were able to offer landscaping resources to people that were previously cited by code enforcement, but they didn't have the adequate resources or the adequate means in order to be able to make sure that their lawn was up to code. We also offered activities for any of the children that were at that event so that there could be a truly positive and safe environment for all the children of that neighborhood. We also offered resources such as flyers and whatnot for the people that in that community that wanted to better their life through the resources that the city of Lancaster had to offer them. Here you can see from the statistics that we were able to reach 750 residents and deliver 300 meals. We were able to collect 200 bags of trash with the help of 100 volunteers. 25 homes were landscaped, and 27 tons of trash was collected on site with the help of 4 dumpsters, all at one block party. Oh, wow, what a difference that can make. So we were able to collect 54,000 pounds of trash, not including actually 23 pounds of e-waste, 50 drums of oil, 7 fridges, 7 box TVs, and 2 dishwashers, which, if we're still counting in hippos, because who doesn't love a good hippo, that's the equivalent of about 17 hippos. God bless you.
In these images, you can see on the right side, you can see we had our city staff helping out pick up the curbside trash, and then on the left side, you can see some of our volunteers from Summer of Impact help a resident's house, and just from that house, they got 5 bags. So.
Here in this slide, we are at our Summer of Impact banquet. We were able to really, truly celebrate the end of the summer through a tasty meal of hors d'oeuvres and appetizers, because, I mean, who doesn't love food? And we were able to talk about our accomplishments and the things that we had did over the summer to improve our city for the better. We had many guest speakers, such as our assistant and city manager, as well as our director, and our Summer of Impact program facilitators. So as you can see, this program really, really changed people's lives, and I'm so proud and grateful that I had the opportunity to do something like this. Not only because I was able to see how civic government truly worked in a way that no civics or government class ever could, but I was also able to see the impact that we can have on people's lives, both online and off, because we can maximize social media to make people's lives truly amazing, which is probably good for me because I'm on my phone quite a bit.
The Summer of Impact program has impacted me and being more informed with the city, such as our Kensington campus that is in process right now under construction, and knowing more about its future goals.
What the Summer of Impact has meant to me, it's meant that my voice has been heard, and it allowed me to see things like the teen lounge and actually make it happen. It also educated me on things that are happening here in Lancaster, such as we have electric buses, and also as things in the future like the Kensington Center and more things that are going to be built.
So we hope that there will be a future for this program. We hope that there will be seasons and years of impact to come. We want to thank you very much for the opportunity to pursue something like this. And because we were able to make such an impact on our community, we have over 80 students interested in pursuing a program like this in the future. 80 change makers. Wow. But that's not all. We were also able to come together as a family in a truly positive, safe, and loving environment. I was able to make connections with people that I never would have otherwise, and I truly got the opportunity to make lifelong friendships that I will never forget. So, from the bottom of our hearts, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone that made this program possible, especially you guys. Through your efforts, we were able to make a change in our community and see that we made a positive change in our community, which I think is incredibly important. We would also like to thank our program sponsors, such as Waste Management, the Lancaster School District, and all of the parents that helped us get here, and all of the businesses that helped make sure that our events and workshops went off without a hitch. Any questions?
It's been a long time, Giovanni.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it has.
Absolutely. And this is not the first time you spoke to the City Council and Mayor Paris, correct? Do you remember, 6 years ago?
Yep, in the 7th grade.
When you were in 7th grade. Yeah, that's the last time I saw you. Giovanni was actually a graduate of our very first Young Entrepreneur Academy. And I believe I remember Mayor Paris making a comment that he was super impressed with you back then. And I have to say, for all of you, that I am really happy that you've continued to be involved in your community, and congratulations on a job well done. And you're just so well-spoken still. You were the most well-spoken 7th grader I ever knew. But
oh my God, I'm blushing. Thank you so much.
Good to see you again.
Thank you so much. It's great to see you too.
Anything? Go ahead.
I just like to say that you all epitomize when you think of the word change, and that it starts with one person, and then it is very much contagious, and then you have one person, another person. I am so truly proud to be sitting here tonight and watching your video and listening to your story for what you did for all of us as adults and for the little kids and so on and so forth, right? But I just want to say thank you so very much. And Giovanni, I haven't seen you in 2 years, but I will have to make sure that I let Trinity know that that you were here tonight. So I just want to say job well done, and for seniors and juniors, and to take your time from your summer, 6 weeks out of your summer, to do this is truly fascinating. And if all of you can do what you've done, that means that we can all do much more. So thank you.
Thank you.
So how many days a week did you do this?
A lot.
Every day except Sunday.
I'm sorry, what?
Every day except Sundays.
6 days a week, really? And it was all volunteer, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. How did you pull that off, Rhonda? So how many people applied?
This round, which was our first round, with only about 2 weeks notification, we got 50 applicants. We accepted 30. And they actually started their own interest list. I think they mentioned it, that they have 80 young people that want to continue the program, that they, grassroots, out at our farmers market and our Monday night bites, they started an interest list, and through the teen lounge and things like that. And just to mention that video, they did that video. We didn't do that video. So they're very proud of it. If I may, I'd like to recognize the rest of the group and have them stand up. We're missing a few already that have gone back to college, so the majority are here, though. And also, this program would not have been possible without Alexis Marino, who works in the city manager's office, as well as our staff members, Tamara and Eddie. I'd like them to stand up, too, please.
So what was the selection criteria?
Alexis can speak specifically to that if you want to come up here. She was the one that vetted everybody herself.
Okay.
Yes, so we actually had an application process that they went through, and we asked questions such as what changes do they want to see, what things can we improve on, and it was also a matter of just dedication. So how many people showed up on the first day, how many people went through our process, and so from there we were able to get our core group that just stuck with us all summer.
So how many people dropped out?
We had about 20 people that dropped out. Now, some of them did start with us and either got a full-time job, part-time job, or decided to take summer school. And so we did lose about 10 of them to that. And then we had about 10 that just never followed through with either our follow-up interviews with them or continued on with the process.
So did you add people as they dropped out? There's a lot of people here.
We did. So we kept it open. We encouraged everyone to invite their friends, especially the first few weeks. And so we kept the process going, and if they were willing to come out and help, we added them on as we went on.
So did everybody get a $1,000 scholarship? Is that how it works?
Yes, so as long as they completed the 100-hour minimum that we had, they will be awarded a $1,000 scholarship.
Where did we get the funding for that?
This came through Waste Management. It was actually teen programming funding that we had, actually from the last 2 years that we were able to utilize to pay for this program.
Oh, that was that thing you did. The vice mayor did that. He's an incredible negotiator.
Thank you.
Good. So, would you guys do it again? Yes. Okay. So, what was the best thing you learned? You guys, one of you.
I would personally say I learned great leadership skills because I was captain for the youth committee. So I learned that day that was with the team out. I learned that I needed to direct certain people to their tasks.
I couldn't hear her. What did she say?
Leadership skills.
I don't know why I do that. I ask. You'd think I'd learn 12 years.
So I was saying that I learned leadership skills. I was a captain for the youth committee, and I learned the day that we had the teen lounge, I was directing certain of the volunteers where they needed to go, their tasks and their duty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So you all want to go to the fair?
Yes.
Okay, so the vice mayor has offered to get tickets for everybody to go to the fair.
And a friend.
And a friend. Oh.
Thank you.
Made their night. They've been asking about the fair.
And we'll throw in $50 for you to eat and play at the fair. Okay. I remember going to the fair with no money. It really wasn't all that fun. So we can do that, right? Right? Can we do that? Okay. I'm not going to go to jail or anything for it.
No, you're not going to go to jail. We'll make it happen.
Okay, we'll just do it out of the mayor's funds, so it's not a gift. All right.
Yeah, if we do it out of the mayor's funds, we'll be fine.
Okay, great. Okay, you guys have a great party. Have a great time.
Tickets to?
But have them wear their shirts, okay, when they go to the fair, so that you go as a group and you enjoy it as a group and have a great time, okay? And are you going to get them backstage passes or? No, it's okay. They fight over that every year. I'm just messing with them. Okay. I am really impressed. I was really impressed with the mind map too. I mean, I don't usually see that. That you guys did a great job. I'm proud of the city and I'm proud of you. All right. Thank you.
They'd like to have a picture with council if they may.
Sure. Why don't we go down and do it? You can go too, Dave.
Sandy, come on.
On three, say summer impact. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Summer impact.
Parents want to come up and take pictures while they're scheduling that.
Rhonda, that was terrific. That is truly a great program. I'm impressed. Thank you. City Manager, anything to be removed?
No, sir.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Mayor
Passes
Paris, I'm
unanimously.
going to abstain, given that I did not read the minutes.
You did not read the minutes?
No, I did not. I was derelict. My apologies. I'll make sure I get caught up this week.
You mean you weren't here? Is that what you...
No.
You're saying you
Did not
didn't read the minutes, so you're not going to vote on it?
No.
If he reads the minutes, then he can vote on it if he wasn't here.
Yes.
I see. Okay.
Would be
I thought you were just messing with me.
No,
That's
I'm not.
That's good. Okay.
just make sure the record reflects that.
Make sure the record reflects that Mr. Mann was not messing with the mayor.
No.
Okay. Good.
Yes, sir.
Because it's so easy.
Oh, do you guys want to take a break so you can get out of here? Or do you want to stay and watch? Up to you. If I were you, I'd be gone. Break? What?
They want to
stay. Okay. All right. Anybody want to take the vice mayor's seat? No. Anything to be removed from the consent calendar?
Did we vote on the minutes?
We did.
Okay.
It was.
We had an abstention.
Four.
I knew we had an abstention. I just didn't hear the ayes. Thank you.
Do you want to do it again? Was it fun for you?
No. we
Okay.
just did it.
All right.
She's an attorney. She's a little slow.
Any speaker cards?
No. Well, not.
Did he just say that? He said that, didn't he? He made a
He
lawyer
did.
joke.
He said that. I heard it.
Oh. I am so disappointed in you.
So
All right.
anyway,
No speaker cards?
no speaker cards.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion to approve the consent calendar is currently comprised.
I'll second.
Let's vote. Passes unanimously. Public hearing item 1. The public hearing is now open. Do we have any speaker cards?
We have one.
Okay, we will hear the staff report from Larissa de la Cruz. You're getting pretty good at this, Larissa. A few more times, you're going to be riveting. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Paris. Good evening, Mayor Paris and members of the City Council. The item before you this evening is for an appeal to the denial of conditional use permit 19-11. The existing Wonder Grocery Market is located on the west side of Division Street, south of Avenue J5. The market has been in operation since August of 2016 and has been an established entity in the community. On July 15th of this year, the Planning Commission held a public hearing on the request for a Type 20 ABC license for off-sale beer and wine. And during that meeting, a commissioner had concerns with the proximity of the convenience store to an existing church, which is located approximately 250 feet from the existing convenience store.
Excuse me, is that because people who go to church drink a lot, or I don't see the cause and effect there.
There was a concern that it's perhaps a sensitive use that's within the distance requirement of 300 feet.
Okay.
Additionally, staff received one letter of opposition from a neighbor that indicated general safety concerns in the area, not related to Wonder Market itself. The Planning Commission voted on the item with a 3-3 with one absence vote, which ultimately resulted in a denial of the conditional use permit request. Since then, the applicant filed an appeal, as well as provided letters of support for his project, including a letter of support from the Lancaster Korean Sang Church, located within the required separation.
So they do drink a lot.
Perhaps. I can't confirm or deny that. Since then, staff has not received any other opposition related to this application, and staff recommends that the City Council take action as listed in your staff report. Thank you.
Any questions? So, the place is a dump, right? I mean, am I wrong? It looks like a dump from the outside. If we were to give them this, could they fix it up? Could we make it a requirement?
We can add conditions that they add some improvements to the building if the council so wishes.
Actually, I did have the opportunity I drove over there yesterday and went inside because I was concerned about what they were trying to do. It used to be the old Wonder Bread where you buy day old bread, and so they've expanded it.
Didn't Scott Smith on that or something?
I don't know, somebody did, but it was a concern that they were just trying to sell alcohol in the middle of nowhere. But it is a bona fide market. It had not as much as I'd like to see. We went in the back room and took a look around and everything. It is a bona fide market, and normally I would say no to something like this, but it is a bona fide market, and it does have the vegetables, milk, the lettuce, and everything that you would need for it, and it's a underserved community need that's there now. So it does need some improvement on the front.
So how do we make it so that, not make them, but how do we make it so that they do improve the frontage?
We can work with them in identifying some areas. We can ask them to repaint the building, perhaps enhance their landscaping on site. There's a variety of options. The applicant is here this evening as well, if you'd like to hear from them.
Where? Okay, so will you clean up the building? All right, that's all. That's my only concern. Okay, good.
And not a bunch of neon beer signs and that kind of stuff out front?
No.
Okay.
We don't let anybody hang around, or we don't want any,
Well, what about Raj? You gonna let him hang around?
We also took a look at the homeless and make sure that everyone will be looking closely not to sell the single can beers.
We don't want to sell a single beer either.
Okay.
Because I have another store here, we don't sell single over there, and we are happy.
Just be careful.
Yes, thank you.
All right, good. All right, thank you. Well, let's deal with this speaker, and then we'll talk some more. Michael Reeves.
Mayor, council, ladies and gentlemen, I'm opposed to another liquor store in Lancaster. I don't know how
Wait a
many
minute, do you think that's a liquor store? I mean, is that what you call a liquor store? It's beer and wine.
Pardon me?
It's beer and wine. It's a market. It's not a liquor store.
Have you been in it, Michael?
No, I used to frequent that market when it was a...
Have you been in it within the last 6 months?
I haven't been in it, but I know that it's down the street from Antelope Valley High School. Is that correct? Yeah. It's near the high school, and there's liquor stores up on Avenue J. I mean, there's not a need for a liquor store in that vicinity, in my opinion. I remember when they sold bread and products like that, and they said...
Michael, do you know the difference between liquor and beer and wine?
Beer and wine is liquor to me. I don't drink.
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah, right. But the point is, we don't need to sell, in my opinion, any more places to sell liquor in this city. Why do you have to have it by a high school? Why do you have to have it in this location? They can sell vegetables and groceries, and that's nice. But I just don't favor any more liquor store or any more liquor licenses being given in this city.
So, Michael, may I ask a question? Because I think the vice mayor brought this up.
Mm-hmm.
So, so what would you estimate the distance? Because you alluded to the high school twice. So, what's your estimate between the high school and that location?
Quarter a mile?
No. So it's well over a mile. I grew up on that side of town, actually about 3 blocks away. So very familiar, both from the high school. So you think I just want to make sure that we understand what you're
Correct.
saying, that you think that a high schooler is going to walk essentially what would be due south over almost close to 1.5 miles away. You think that they would go down there and frequent the location? Is that your concern? I just want to make sure, because you.
Well, wait a minute.
often
Let's
say
ask
so.
them. Do you guys walk 1.5 miles to get a beer? There you go, Michael.
There you go.
Now, I live on J9, West Avenue J9, right off of 10th Street West, in the middle of Lancaster.
That's another mile the other direction.
Yes, and we have two liquor stores on 10th Street West on both sides of me. And you know what kind of environment it is? They have fights in the parking lot.
Thank you, Michael. You're out of time.
Thank you.
You know, this I think this problem is probably I'm the genesis of it, because I really I don't like liquor stores either. I don't think this is a liquor store, but I think that we have failed to articulate a policy with the Planning Commission that takes into account the difference between a store that just needs to increase the profit margin with beer and wine versus a store that's selling beer and wine as their primary source of revenue. So I would like the Planning Commission to work on that. And
I think that would be really helpful, because you're correct in saying that is something that we do consider.
You know, the problem is a lot of the times we articulate stuff that we don't really project the ripple effect, like the beer cans. So you remember how we did the beer cans, 40-ounce can? So my wife comes home. She's got a 40-ounce can of Budweiser because she wants to cook with it. And she's giving me, well, let's just say she's giving me a difficult time because she couldn't buy a single 12-ounce can. But it became clear to me the only thing we did was get people to buy 40-ounce cans instead of 12-ounce cans, which is exactly what we didn't want to do. So while we're at it, go ahead and fix that, would you? I mean, we put so much effort into it, but we really have to pay more attention to the ripple.
Yeah, I think it's the confusion between the words liquor and alcohol, because I think that what we use
just
is
with
alcohol.
Michael.
Yeah.
But, I wouldn't worry about that. Anybody else think there's a difference? I mean, see the difference between beer and wine and alcohol? I mean, liquor?
Yeah, I thought liquor was spirits. Am I not correct?
I don't know. The vice, I leave all the alcohol questions to the vice mayor. It's a question of experience.
I do see the difference. I mean, this is a place that is underserved in the community. If you want to go down and buy some groceries, and you want to buy some milk and a head of lettuce and buy a six-pack, then you could do that. But if they didn't sell a six-pack, you would go elsewhere. And the profit margin, we need these kind of markets in the middle of the community there.
I agree.
So are you going to close the public hearing?
Anybody else want to say anything? No? Close the public hearing.
I'll move to adopt resolution number 19-45.
I'll second that.
All right, let's vote. Give my apologies to the planning commission.
Unanimous.
I don't think there's any apology necessary. It's just
Well, I
changing
think
the-
we could do a better job with giving direction. But if you'll convey that to everybody, I think we can deal with this.
Yes.
And you're going to clean that store up, right? All right, good. Thank you. All right, public hearing item 2, vacation of sewer easement. Do we have a speaker card?
No speaker cards. You need to open the public hearing.
Oh, open the public hearing. We will waive the staff report. Do we have any communications? No speaker cards. Public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion?
I'll move we adopt resolution 19-46.
Second.
Raj?
Second that. You got to vote. Passes unanimously. All right, new business, item 1, Animal Control Services Agreement. Michael, you're not against dogs, are you?
Hey guys, see you later.
Paris, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Good evening, Mayor Paris, Vice Mayor Chris, council members, and commissioners. Before you is a recommendation from staff to approve the Animal Control Services Agreement for 1 year with Los Angeles County Animal Control. It's a yearly contract. This year we have budgeted through our budget process approximately $1.2 million for the contract, which was supposed to start July 1st through June 30th of next year. We've had that contract with Los Angeles County Services since the city's inception, since 1977. We're currently working on a new pricing structure with them, hopefully will reduce that cost. There's some conversations taking place and direction by Supervisor Barger to change the way they bill out for us. We believe we're being double billed in some areas based on animal housing versus field services.
Can we also look at privatizing it?
We've actually investigated that numerous times in the past 10 years, including talking to some outside advocacy agencies that provide those services in other areas. Usually the issue is the housing management issue more than anything else, not the field service problem.
Maybe we could do a combination of both?
I believe that's appropriate. Anything, because their cost increases have become exorbitant. Just the housing of animals is about $47 a day per animal. Actually, there's some concern with the proposal that's out there.
Are we
today.
getting ripped off or what?
Oh, yeah.
$47 a day? We could put them in the Motel 6 cheaper.
Yes. Mayor Paris, I will tell you, this is a huge point of contention. Just for now, 1 point is 1 month of this past year, we had $70,000 just for cats housing, because the animal control allows people in the public to capture cats, and then we pay for the storage of those animals up to 10 days. So those are some discussions. And also, several years ago, the state...
We could build a high school for the money we're paying on animal control. That's insanity. I would suggest maybe, the sheriff's department could, take care of the euthanizing the dogs, but then I remembered that.
I'm not touching any of that right now up here, but I can tell you that that's a discussion that's taking place right now, okay, because there's some overhead costs that are being pushed into both that kind of overlap. That's the discussion. So they've hired an outside consultant to look at that cost model that they've implemented. And I can tell you comparably, with the sheriff's department, like a field officer for animal control is almost close to what a deputy sheriff costs at this point based on their increases over the last 5 years.
You guys got to get ALADs more involved. I mean, seriously. That's crazy. We really have to do something about that. It's crazy.
Well, we just had a meeting the month before last downtown at the Hall of Administration with the the board members, field representatives for each city and district over this discussion. They've hired an outside consultant, and that's going through a process right now. So they are taking our input, or what our concerns are as it relates to that cost model that was done, and so I'm expecting this to have a significant reduction in costs.
But
couldn't we just take them to Palmdale and dump them?
Actually, our costs went up, which is weird. When Palmdale opened their shelter, our costs increased. So based on their new concept and cost model. So my understanding is probably they built it into the overhead to pay for the new animal shelter and farm that out in a cost-sharing model to all the cities.
Huh. You guys will fix it, right? Okay. Get back to us in a month. Thanks. Oh, do I got a... Michael. Oh, Michael.
Mayor, council, ladies and gentlemen, I'm an animal lover, and I've been out to the shelter many times. And this is an opportunity when you approve the budget or you approve a contract to make changes. And Angela, you'll find that out if you're ever in the Congress, that when it comes to the Appropriations Committee, you can make a lot of changes. And so you're talking about money in a contract right now. There are a couple things that need to be done out there that have nothing to do with the cost. they need to expand the lobby out there because it's really cramped. When you have people there on Saturday or in the afternoon, they're on top of everybody. I don't understand why they didn't expand the lobby when they renovated the place, but the lobby is the same small lobby, and I think it could be improved. It won't be as big as Palmdale, but it would certainly help. Another thing out there that I tried to get Supervisor Barger to do is that if you go out there, you see a sign that says exit sign in front of the shelter. Okay, that's fine, but it doesn't show you where to enter the shelter. And I've talked to Supervisor Barger's staff. They need to put an enter sign out there, because if you go by the exit sign, you end up going to the old Challenger Youth Facility. So those are two changes. And also, one last comment. When I was out there last time, there were fewer cats than they used to have. So they've done a good job about adopting the animals and getting them placed. So I commend them on that. But like I said, the lobby needs
Michael,
to
don't you know what they really do with those cats? I mean,
I like cats. I have a lot of cats, Mayor Paris. Anyway, thank you very much for your time.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm bored. I'm entertaining myself. I'll stop. My wife's out of town. Normally, you know, I don't have to worry about going home and getting yelled at, so
Motion to approve NB1.
Second that. Let's vote. Passes unanimously. So if we did it by 20 years, we're over $30 million for animal control.
But Jason, there's a where private enterprise can come in, nonprofits come in, and we can do a joint service agreement and do it that way?
Absolutely, and not to make light of it, but animal control is not an easy business either. So I mean, it's not a lightly held business, not an easy business. At the same token, there are other opportunities, nonprofits, things like that you can partner with to accomplish this, whether it be SPCA or other shelters, other shelter systems besides the county. So we will evaluate those and come back and try to give you some feedback on that.
I just think it ought to be cheaper than a motel room.
I don't disagree at all.
I'm going to piggyback on Jason on that. That's part of the concern Animal Controls has. As contract cities are looking to alternative sources based on the cost of this entity, their concern is that they will have no more community partners and that department will fold. So that's part of the enthusiasm on their side to resolve this issue between us.
Well, shouldn't we be getting more aggressive on the spaying and neutering program? And, I mean, are we paying by the night? Is that how it works?
Yeah, and Lee knows this far better than anybody. Is that he's regularly involved in the details of how they charge and how they house. There's a lot of different things we can do to minimize the number of animals going into the shelter. The question is animal control willing to do that, and do they do it effectively? So that's the analysis we have to have. Is are they? There's a mitigation. There's when they get there, there's a challenge, but also keeping them from getting there is another challenge. And there's a couple strategies for that. And those are the conversations we have to have.
And some of those increases, the state used to offset and credit and reimburse us for 5 days of that animal storage, which they took away several years ago. So we are no longer reimbursed for the state for at least 5 days of that, and the county has the policy for 10 days. So that's the discussion. Okay, we're liable by state law for 5 days. The county has a policy of 10 days. Why are we accountable for the county's policy as it relates to animal storage beyond 5 days?
Do we have what the stats are as far as animals being picked up, 5 days versus 10 days?
Yeah, we can certainly provide that to you. We also, with the drop-offs and all kinds of things like that are going on. But again, the big one that seems to be driving our cost right now currently is the storage for cats and allowing the public to capture cats. By definition in law, cats are free-roaming animals. So, if someone's on vacation and someone's out there capturing cats, because how do you determine if it's a feral cat versus someone's pet? Okay, and how are they disseminating that? So,
and why do I care?
Well, we care because we pay $47 a day for that cat to be animal control.
Why does somebody feel the need to capture feral cats?
There's our argument. Okay,
don't they keep the rats down?
I would say I wish I had a couple more cats around my yard. The squirrels and rabbits they eat my lawn every day. So I can tell you from my standpoint is that's been the discussion. We don't have the same issues with dogs. Okay, the adoption program for the dogs is very good. They're working with a lot of nonprofits and rescues out there that they recover those animals, and their adoption program is really good. The cats are a different issue because they've tried to make improvements over the years to deal with the cat issue and are continuing to do that. And they did make some improvements to the cat house to make it more attractive.
Put an ordinance on the calendar that we make it so you can't collect feral cats, right?
I don't think we want to do that.
Why?
Because some of these people are capturing the cats. The cats are becoming neutered then, and so they're just not out.
But I would believe the problem the issue, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor, is the fact that we're allowing the public to act as an agent for animal control.
That's why I'm saying get a nonprofit involved in it.
Well, why can't we just pass an ordinance that they're not going to take the cats anymore?
That's more of a contracting issue. Let us look into it a little more and get back to you at the next council meeting, and then figure out what the best approach is.
We have hundreds and hundreds of kids who don't have shoes to go to school. We've got hundreds and hundreds of kids who can't eat on the weekend, and we're spending $1.6 million on dogs and cats. There's some priority screw up here, right? All right. Let's figure out a way to take that money back, put it in the shoe program. Okay?
Is Rhonda going to develop the shoe program? She's pretty good with impact. I'm just throwing it out there.
What?
She works on the boots.
Oh, that's that one. No candle carry.
What? I couldn't hear you.
No, I'm just being
All right. Good.
I'm following your lead tonight.
Make joke.
Thank you. Okay. All right. I told you we should have invested in hotels, didn't I? You see, if we had already built that hotel, we'd have a place to send them.
What, the cats?
Well, yeah.
We get $49 a night. Oh, yeah. Great.
All right. So do we got to vote on this? Or did we already do it?
Yeah, we already voted.
Okay. So now we have the sheriff's contract.
Correct.
Uh-oh.
MB2.
And I'm spun up, Captain.
Thank you, Mayor Paris. This is also a municipal law enforcement services agreement with the LA County Sheriff's Department, and staff recommendation, and asked you to approve that contract. It's a actual 5-year contract. Again, we have a relationship with the Sheriff's Department going back from the inception of the city in 1977, and this has been a 5-year renewal consistently over that time. Again, we work very closely on trying to work with resource management and things we've done at the Sheriff's Department and I'm happy to say as of our last check just a few days ago, we're down about 5% in the last year in Part 1 crimes that are occurring. And then also we've had great collaboration as it relates to our administrative psych program and enhancement, and we're seeing some improvement in the area.
How does that 5% compare to neighboring cities?
I believe right now we're right in the ball game with our city to the south as far as percentage of reduction. We still have some areas to work on as it relates to like domestic aggravated assaults and certain things. But from the standpoint of what actually drives our largest number for Part 1s being larcenies, there's been a significant impact that and a great reduction in burglaries. The robbery solvency rate right now for the year is probably 70%. Yeah, close to 70%. So there's some good things that are happening. As we develop farther into our hybrid model, we're incurring more responsibility into those contract services items that we've hired here at the city, and they're being more involved. Their focus right now is dealing with quality of life issues and homelessness issues that are being created. But overall,
when do we roll out the hybrid program?
I believe Mr. Cottle had a conversation with the consultants yesterday. We will have a report coming back to us at the end of the month with an update, and then we'll move on from that point.
When do the cameras go up?
we're in contract negotiations now. We're hoping to get at least a pilot project up by January 1, and by hopefully the end of the year, we'll get them all up and operating.
Good. Good. Thank you.
All right, sir.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are they still carping?
Yes.
How long will that continue?
Captain, the carping, when are you going to stop?
To be honest, I'm not sure that we are carping right this second. I'd have to check. We were at one a month, and the reason I say I'm not sure we are, I judge our overtime by how many outside overtime requests I get. Deputies can work outside overtime, but they have to request it from me, and I get them constantly to work almost every city or every station in the department because our overtime is down too much or is down so low. As our vacancies closing. So we were at one a month, but I couldn't tell you for sure for even one a month at this point.
Okay.
But it's on the way. At least at our station, overtime is way down, vacancies are down, and it's coming. It's coming to near fruition, I believe.
How many people are we down at the station?
That's great work.
As of today, we're down 21 sworn items at the station. 1 lieutenant, 2 sergeants, 18 deputy sheriffs.
So why are we doing a 5-year contract if we're getting hosed at the back end?
Well, I believe that's probably a conversation. I know that's a requirement based on our agreement with the Sheriff's Department that it's a 5-year contract. We can certainly have a discussion for reduction based on whatever elements that you would like to place in it as a council and your concerns.
Why can't we do a 1-year contract and see if they're going to correct it?
We can do that.
The contract that is before you does
It's
have
5 years.
it's 5 years, but it has a 6-month termination for
Correct.
any reason provision. So
Yeah,
at 180 days notice, we can terminate for any reason.
Okay, but that goes both ways, too.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, meaning a year from now, they may be more difficult to deal with, right? I mean, I don't mean that in a negative sense. I just mean, from a negotiation point of view.
And if I may, our vacancy rate will fluctuate here or there. We were down to about 11 sworn, but we had a lieutenant retire, come off the books, so we have to get a gain behind him. We also had a long-term IOD or injured deputy come off the books as hiring. So we've had about 3 deputies vacancies pop up in the last about 2 weeks due to retirements and that kind of thing, which we have to get gains behind. So it's been a steady decrease in vacancies.
I thought you had a program of bringing people back from. Never mind.
Well, I think the thing is to talk about that is some of that number is long-term IODs, which we still manage and carry in our contract that we're paying for, but those items don't exist. So, I mean, maybe it's more of a discussion of actually how this all pans out based on policy changes over the last 10 years or practices by the department. But
what does the graph look like? I mean,
I'm sorry, sir?
What does the graph look like, the high of vacancies to where we are now?
We're declining.
32.
We're as high as 38.
30,
yeah.
At most 11 is the bottom, so it's right where it's in the middle right now.
So we're still moving in the right direction?
We're 21 officers short.
Correct.
So our officers are working harder.
Well,
but we're still paying for the 21 officers.
Right. What might be really good is to look at how we staff and how we, based on contract minutes, and provide. So if we're pulling items from our administrative part or detectives or anything to fill contract minutes, to maintain our agreement to be at 98% on our contract deployment for patrol. But again, that's pulling items away from what their typical duties would be as it relates to other issues. Now, this has been a practice for some time. It's certainly not as significant as it was 5 years ago. Okay, there's been a lot of discussion on that. But this, you couple with this with the issues that we have for those items, yes, it puts more workload on everybody. So this has been a continuum workload for the deputies themselves for years now.
So why aren't we filling them with reserves?
Their reserve contingent changed with Sheriff McDonald, where they reduced the reserve forces bureau significantly based on age out. So there's issues there too as well. So it's certainly worthy of a discussion to try and how do we augment that. And I believe that's where the direction we're going with the hybrid model, taking certain things off the daily deputies' work to have them respond to emergent and high priority type issues and focus on that. But we have things for multiple calls for service and chronic nuisance issues that we address through our municipal code that have been effective. And I think that's why we're seeing significant improvement with statistics, is that we're doing multiple things that are impacting this.
How many deputies do we have if we were fully manned?
In your station right now, of a total deployment, 160?
Well, we have about total sworn about 240, but those aren't all patrol items. They're not all city items. Some are on the county, the baseline. But right now we have about 240 sworn and about 60 civilian is our full complement.
So we're less than 10% down.
Yes.
It's how you deploy those units, though. And then you're counting detectives.
Well, maybe
and support personnel.
maybe we could fill in with animal control officers.
Oh, my goodness.
Couldn't help it. I told you I would. Okay, with the contract, what if we wanted to come in and change the contract? Do we have to give them notice and cancel the contract to change it? Because if we're going to bring a police force in and we want to have them balance each other out.
Right. Allow me to suggest I don't like the timing of that at all. In order to merge the hybrid department with the sheriff's department, I want as little controversy and as little disruption as possible. If we were to start screaming about renegotiating the contract now with the hybrid coming in, it's going to give credence to the idea that we're replacing, and we are not. There is absolutely...
But we are not sending the message that we're tired of the carping. I remember talking 5-6 years ago in regards to this. The carping is out of line. The deputies don't like it, and we're not getting our money's worth out there. This is another 2 to 5 deputies on the street per shift. And we're not getting it.
Well, I think, we get into this discussion, and probably what would be good is maybe having some discussion on how we contract out based on relief, non-relief type items, that type of thing as it works out. And then it's a very interesting process to learn on how we work out that deployment. Things like using non-relief to fill relief type units that are considered essential for patrol versus items we pull from our task force teams to fill those items. There's all kinds of things. I mean, I know the captain...
Why can't we just say no carping?
Well, we've been saying that for years now. If you go to the Sheriff's City Managers Conference and listen, that's a topic of discussion every year with whoever the current sheriff may be, is an issue that these contract cities collectively, and there's lots of discussions. I'm having a lot of discussion now. They're just based on our announcement of what we're doing with other contract cities in the county that are very interested to see what direction this is going. So I know that the sheriff has put a real huge focus on recruitment. Part of the problem is that they were in such deficit for such a long period of time based on retirements and people going out on injuries that they had to make up a gap of 1,200 sworn officers. Well, that's significant for a department of that size over a short period of time. So I know the recruitment aspect of it is the focus now and finding qualified candidates. The second thing is that how do we roll those candidates through, take care of the jail issue, and then move those people out into patrol item, and then have a competent patrol officer. Okay, we have a significant number of trainees now that their level of qualification is not where it should be. That really services our issues, but it's the best we can do with what we have right now.
I feel like I'm a bit confused to a certain degree. I guess when I'm looking at a $27 million plus contract, and we're down 21 officers as of right now, but historically we've been down, I think it was at one point 32, if I'm correct.
38 at one point.
38 at one point. So I guess at what point do we decide no more as far as paying for something that we're obviously not getting? At the very least, if we're going to, even if we were missing even half of them, I'm sorry, I just don't get it.
So I'm with you too. In business, I'm telling you, you might simplify the business I'm in. And I'm sure it is with the bank. This stuff isn't tolerated in the business world.
Well, but in the business world, you have a competitor. You know, I mean, if I don't like how you're performing a contract, I go down the street to somebody else. We don't have that option here, and I think we should recognize that. And I don't think that we're going to be able to get a solution without recognizing that. Now, I don't know why we just don't look at the contract and put in the requirements we have for this city. I really don't care what Santa Clarita does. I really don't care what other cities do. I only care what we do. And perhaps you can help me with that, Allison.
Sure, we can propose additional language to the county. This is their standard contract. I don't know how amenable they're going to be to coming off of its language, but we can certainly come back and say that our council is insisting on a no carping provision, or whatever provisions you would like us to come back to the county with.
I'm also concerned about the amount of overtime. What's the policy? How many hours of overtime can they work in a week?
96 in a month.
Yeah, 96 is the most they can work in a month.
So what does that work out?
Just short of 20 hours a week.
Huh?
Just short of 20 hours a week.
So we're running guys 80 hours a week?
No,
just short of 20.
That's the most. That's the most that they can work by policy, is 96 hours a week. Our guys aren't being force hired to work 96 hours a week by any means.
You guys have a policy you can work people.
Not 96 hours. I'm sorry, 96 hours a month of overtime.
So that'd be roughly 60 hours. If they were close, it'd be pretty close to 60 hours a week.
It's 12 shifts a month.
Right. Mayor, the only concern I have, and I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouth here, is I just would like to see us have enough flexibility when it's time for us to move to the hybrid model that we're not hamstringed. That's the only concern I have.
There's other provisions in the contract, though, that give us a minimum of 60 days, depending on what criteria it is. So there's some discussion that's built into that contract language to shorten that time period if necessary.
I agree with the mayor as far as not cross-pollinating them, okay? But I think that we need to send the county a message. We're no longer going to do it. Put it in the contract, and if they do it, then we can take appropriate action at that time.
Okay. I can certainly put something together where Allison and I can work with contract law to have that discussion with the Sheriff's Department, and probably that will go as high as the sheriff himself, where I believe that your message will be probably heard very clearly.
Okay. We'll bring it back.
Thank you.
But can't we prove it with that provision in there?
No, I don't want to do that. I want you to, do we have to approve it this week?
No, I guess the question is we have an opportunity to amend it in the future. So back to Ken's question about if something happens in the future where it changes, we have the ability to amend it or terminate it and renegotiate it, right?
Well, my concern is I'd like the department to recognize that we have serious concerns and we want them to work with us on this. And I don't know that we're sending that message if we just approve the contract this week.
Fair enough.
Right? Am I wrong about that?
No, I agree with you.
I would agree with that.
But my biggest concern is I don't want the deputies feeling crushed by this job, and sometimes I get the impression that they are.
I agree.
You know, but maybe if we quit doing loss prevention for Walmart, we wouldn't have half these problems.
Just so I make sure I have the two key issues for you, it's the carping issue and then the quantity of overtime hours per month per deputy, correct?
I don't want sleep deprived officers.
Okay.
And from what I'm hearing from them is a lot of them feel that they are.
Okay.
All right?
Thank
Am I
you.
wrong about that?
No, I don't think you're wrong at all. I know the fatigue. I worked it. Okay, the county goes through these periodic times where they go from feast to famine. Okay, this is significantly more than it's ever been. But, you know, usually that cycle lasted 2 or 3 years. This has been a continual cycle for 10 years now of this issue. This has just not been addressed for 10 years.
All right, good. Thank you, Lee.
Okay, thank you.
It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. Mr. Reeves, did you want to talk to us about this?
Mayor Paris,
I can't
Council,
wait.
ladies and gentlemen. A number of years ago, we were talking about the same thing when Mark was city manager. And I asked him, I said, do you have to hire the L.A. County Sheriff to be the police agency of the city? And he said, no. We can hire whomever we want. So we're on the border with Kern County. We could hire Kern County Sheriff.
No, we can't.
Well, we could. We could, Mayor Paris, if we wanted to do it. I mean, it's not an option, like you say, that we don't have a choice. You said it's like business. Well, we do have a choice. We can have another agency be our police department. Speaking of which...
Well, Michael, at the end of the day, let's remember, they are the most highly trained department out there. They are a superior department, bar none. And why the hell would we even consider getting lesser trained people to do this job? I mean, yeah, we're upset about the amount of hours they got to work. It's not a perfect scheduling process. They don't do it exactly the way we want them to do it. But let's remember who we're talking about and do it in a fashion that provides them with that respect, okay?
Well, all police
They are
officers,
not a fungible group that you just move around.
Well, all police officers in the state of California are post-certified.
You think that's how it works,
They get
do
the
you?
same training.
Oh, you do? You think it works that way, that they're all equal departments, right?
Well, if they have the same, we're not getting all the officers that we pay for. But forget that. You ought to. I recommended before that you have the sheriff come here, and if you have to have a closed session with him, talk to him, and then have him come out and talk to the public. We're the largest department in the county. I don't know why you don't ask the sheriff to come up here and explain these things to you and discuss them with you.
Because you see, there's a hierarchy in how public officialdom works. And the sheriff is up here, and we're kind of down here.
Yeah.
We don't tell the sheriff what to do, okay?
But the sheriff of L.A. County spoke before the Hispanic Chamber a number of months ago, and he said, I'm going to get you your deputies that you're entitled to up here. He said that, and he hasn't. So he needs to be held accountable for it. But
I'll see if I can get you an appointment, okay?
I want to make a couple comments, though. I noticed on the sheriff's car in some of the other cities, but not in our city, not all of the sheriff's cars have the city of Lancaster on them. Now, if they're going to be the police agency for the city, we should have city of Lancaster on the cars. Another thing...
I used to like it when they had my name on it, but...
Well, another concern, you're talking about absence of deputies. At these coffees that they have 5 or 6 deputies at these coffees. So they tied up 5 or 6 supervisors and a couple other officers at these coffees. They don't need 6 or 7 or 8 people at these coffees with deputies. Fine, I like to talk to them, but they should be out in the field.
What, now you don't want them to drink coffee? I mean, for heaven's sakes. All right, what else we got? Is there...
So we're going to pass on NB2?
We're continuing this item to the next agenda.
Okay.
No speaker card. Yeah, there is.
Okay.
David Paul.
What is this?
NB3.
NB3.
Mayor and City Council, the item before you tonight is to accept award of $600,000 for the implementation of our city's homelessness plan. If you recall, back in August, I believe it was August or September of last fall, staff was before you representing the plan, and one of the questions that you posed was, what does this get us? And this is the beginning of what it gets us. It allowed us to respond to an RFP that was co-produced by the County of Los Angeles and the United Way. The maximum amount that any city could qualify for was $600,000, and I'm very excited to say that we were awarded the full amounts. They were broken into 2 categories. One was priority area 1, very specific to increasing interim housing. The second was very specific to expanding the city's coordinated entry system. The city responded with a partnership and with Destination Lancaster Hoteliers, as well as AVC College, as well as the LA County Office of Education, AJCC. We have a lot of partners, and that was one of the reasons why our award was accepted. So tonight's item would allow us to continue the conversation with the county to execute it specifically for interim housing, as well as work, job development, and training programs. I will say that the Homeless Impact Commission is very supportive, and if I may, late Commissioner Shannon was very supportive of this program, particularly on the interim housing, because it will be for families. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah, I dropped with Shannon. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's huge. You got $600,000, right? So who submitted the grant proposal? Who did it?
Staff did.
Did you do it?
I helped them.
That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
She earned her dinner tonight. Thank you. Okay, David Paul.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, good evening. I was very glad to hear our update on the homeless grant. This is great stuff. As I was listening to the other conversations, I understand everybody's points about the sheriff and the contract and the animals getting people to do what they say. It's a difficult spot, but out of all of it, Mr. DeRico had the best. We do what we can with what we have, and that's our role, is to make ends meet, and that's why I'm always so proud of this city to meet those challenges. Now, the homelessness issue just keeps getting more vexing, and, you know, you're right. Everybody that understands the Housing First model knows that people need a place to go. So that's still our main challenge. If we want people off the streets, they have to have a place to go. And it's a daunting task, to say the least. So we're going to keep working at it, and I'm glad we're all in it and doing it, and I hope that $600,000 will help. And it's a challenge. So thank you for continuing to face it.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve NB3 A, B, and C.
I'll second that.
Let's vote. And it passes unanimously. Council reports. Anything?
Yeah. Martin, you want to come on up? And Martin is the second in charge at ABTA, and we have big news today as far as becoming the largest electric bus in the nation.
That is correct. As of good evening, Mayor, good evening, Vice Mayor, and members of Council. As of yesterday, we're the only agency in North America that operates the largest electric fleet with 39 vehicles yesterday. Tomorrow, hopefully, we'll have bus number 40 in service. So it's a huge milestone for us.
And by the end of the year, we should have it complete, and we're starting to get the coaches in.
We'll have the commuter coaches. We start delivery towards the end of this year. Early next year, we should have our full complement of vehicles.
So it's terrific. It's big. Biggest for the nation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also want to point out that in regards to BYD, Mr. Mayor, you want to go over that, how it's affecting the jobs as far as the buses?
Well, if Congress has its way, I don't see how that plant survives. Do you, Jason? If the community doesn't start getting on the phone and calling every elected official in Washington, D.C., we could lose 1,000 jobs. I mean, it's that desperate. I mean, I don't understand it. I guess I do understand it. There's a Canadian company that has a factory in Alabama that wants the business, and they make a worse bus than BYD. So how else to do it other than to close down the competitor? We used to call that corruption. I guess now we call it what? Yeah. But that's the long and the short of it, isn't it?
It is, but I wanted to point out that this bill, when it went across Katie Hill's desk, and it went into the Armed Services portion, and she approved it from the Armed Services portion and didn't kill it at that time. We need to get on the phone with our representatives, and especially Katie Hill, and let them know that we don't want to lose 1,000 jobs. It's very, very important.
Yeah. Do we reach out to the city of Palmdale and ask for their support?
Wait a minute. Katie Hill voted to kill BYD?
Yes. Yeah. She actually let it go through the Armed Services portion where she could have killed it at that time. And in her speeches, she always says how she's on these big committees, and these big committees, and if you're not going to do anything, why be on the committee?
David, did you know she did that?
No, I didn't.
I think those are union jobs, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
1,000 of them.
Yes.
You know, I haven't led a protest in ages. Matter of fact, it's been 50 years.
Yeah, it is.
And you did it at the college.
That's right. I did do it at the college.
Holy smoke.
All right. We should develop a game plan. I mean, I think, do we have any problems doing that, getting involved in that process?
We cannot use city funds to advocate for or against legislation, but you can individually take whatever steps you deem appropriate.
I got a whole bunch of money. We'll use my money. Let's
I second that motion.
I got to ask my wife, though. All right, I'm serious. Let's put something together. I think Daryl leave already. Daryl's working something with the churches. Can we do something with labor? I mean, I think we really got to do something
yes.
big. All right.
It's time for all of us to come together. And
I agree.
And if all the deputies come to the protest, we'll probably work harder on carping. How's that? All right. But let's not lose sight of this. In the next week, let's do something. Okay. Anything else?
Mayor, I just want to go on record that last month's meeting with Destination Lancaster, we approved our budget, so we're moving forward on that. And I want to commend Sandy. I know that she's present tonight, and I mentioned in a previous meeting, but I know for a fact the hoteliers are well impressed with her on board as executive director. So thank you so much, Sandy.
Good. Thank you. Anything else? We good? Okay. Lancaster Choice, nothing. Lancaster Housing Authority, nothing at this time. Finance Authority, nothing at this time. Power Authority, nothing at this time. Lancaster Successor Agency, nothing at this time. Jason, when are we going to have the decision on the CCA lobbyist thing? We don't have to do that through here, do we?
No, the contract we're talking about is smaller. It's under my authority, and I have the ability to do those contracts. I hope to do that. We have one under contract already as a part of BYD. We're also looking from the CCA perspective, doing the same thing.
Okay, and you're working with David on that?
Yes.
All right, good. Thank you. Okay, any city manager, any announcements?
Yeah, a couple. I just want to compliment our staff a little bit. We do a lot of things very well, and oftentimes we do a lot of things that go unnoticed. We tend to talk about other things here, but some of the small things go unnoticed. But just a couple projects that have started for not only for the public, for the council as well. Started breaking ground on the skate park. We know we do the fanfare about as it relates to seeing the pretty pictures and everything else. But eventually the rubber needs to meet the road. And if you go by Jane Reynolds now, you can see the construction happening, and we're excited about that process. So from inception to delivery, from an idea that the council had to where we're moving forward, it's a fantastic program. We're looking forward to that. We also remodeled LPAC for the opening season this this year. So if you go into LPAC, or when you go into LPAC, you're going to see a remodeled facility. That's part of the impact program. That's part of the stewardship that we're required to do as part of our city offices, is that these facilities are starting to get older. We need to start updating and upgrading them. So this season when you go into LPAC, you're going to see a much updated LPAC. It's going to not only be viewings better, but technology's better, and the look and feel is going to be fantastic. So that is, if not completed, it's going to be well completed by the time of opening. And then if you look at 30th and 60th West, both of them brand new paving. I know Ken, this has been one of Ken's strong points, is that you see some of the paving going on. We've got neighborhoods being repaved, 60th and 30th being repaved, which is two of our busiest streets. And you see it happen. You drive by and you're like, man, I love this street. But oftentimes we don't shout it out enough about how much we're doing. But compliments to our staff and everything that's going on. And you're going to see a lot of these things happening, continuing in the next few years. So thank you, guys.
Good. Thank you. City Clerk.
This is the time to address the City Council Agency Authority on non-agendized matters. Speaker cards can be found on the back table of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. State law prohibits the City Council from taking action on items not on the agenda, and your matter may be referred to the City Manager. Thank you.
Thank you. Maria Elena.
First of all, I want to congratulate you. You know I support you as a leader and what's going on in Lancaster with Net Zero and all these programs and all the positive. But you do know that I live in this area and I have a business in this area. The city of Lancaster, this is pretty serious. After 13 years of being in business, we need to talk about this. I have brought research study from Harvard Business School regarding the effects of street closures to businesses to the past city manager, Mark Bozigian, who's no longer here to defend himself. But you can Google it, the study on your phone, because after the last 9 years, I'm tired of printing it out. I know I have begged the heads of the city of Lancaster to stop this insanity with the streets of Lancaster and closing the streets. In fact, I sat in your office and discussed the hardships of this issue on businesses, particularly this issue. It has been 9 years, and I think the businesses, there's been an apathy about it, about the street closures. It's a loss. The attitude is that the event's going to continue to go on the boulevard. Basically, it's a huge business loss for me. It's $25,000 a loss a month, the month of September, when we close the streets. Not to mention the city loss of taxpayer dollars when we hold this event. I've filmed every year what happens at my business when we close the street starting Wednesday. Customers, the paying patrons with discretionary income do not come down to the boulevard. And I think that the retail businesses are afraid to say anything about it. We depend as a retail business on physical patronage for survival. Its consistency is crucial. And when the city staff comes in and have lunch one day out of the 4 days that we have these closures, it doesn't pay for the loss in my business, nor the other businesses. I think what we have to realize is that, I talked to Jim Haas about this a lot. When we have street closures, it's a huge loss for businesses and revenue. If we did this, Streets of Lancaster, in the auto mall where it's their target market, Jim Haas told me he would have thousands of dollars of loss of revenue because people couldn't get in for service. And this is what's happening to the businesses for the last 9 years, Mr. Mayor. It's got to stop. And I think that last year was a really good example of businesses that closed during the races because they can't afford to stay open because their patrons can't get into it. The Chinese restaurant, the printer, the yoga studio, the hair salon, my business. And I know, Mr. Mann, and Mr. Molly, you guys are in the restaurant business. You know the bottom line. If you had street closures in your areas and your patrons couldn't get in, you would have huge losses. Now, for myself, I've been in business 13 years. I'm able to get other revenue outside of the boulevard. But for the other small businesses, they can't. And it's really becoming a nuisance now. Harvard Business School did a study on street closures. I've been talking about this for 9 years, and it continues to happen. I live in the neighborhood. I experience the neighborhood. I've talked to the businesses, and I know, Mr. Mayor, all the food writers are coming again, all the travel writers are going to come again, and they're all going to ask me the same question: what happened to Beck's? What happened to Kinetic? What happened to Giannini's? What happened to the 4 businesses that were in the coffee house? You know, people put their life savings into business. My investment initially on Lancaster Boulevard was $650,000. And I tried to move off the boulevard. Some of the businesses that can survive to get off the boulevard are relieved. I was so excited when I didn't get a move last year that I wasn't going to have the streets of Lancaster this year, because I can't afford another $25,000 loss. I have 19 employees. When I started the Lemon Leaf, I had 40 employees. We have enough regulations with the state of California and with minimum wage increase, but I have 19 employees that live in the area, that come to work every day, that have been with me for 13 years. We've produced 28 kids that have graduated from college or trade school. Two more kids by next year will graduate from college. 2 kids are going to be going to law school. And we have 2 people that have become American citizens in the last 13 years at my business. But
Rhonda, I thought we were not doing that this year.
This is the final year for the Streets of Lancaster. We went and spoke with the Boulevard Association specifically a couple months back, and they requested it. We did, to have the final one on the Boulevard. We did go back and speak with them specifically about pros and cons and things like that, and they said they had an overwhelming desire the businesses on the Boulevard had an overwhelming desire to host it this last year, so we went with that suggestion.
Just because it's you. I don't want you to do it next year.
It's done this year.
This is the problem, though, Mr. Mayor. A lot of businesses close.
You got what you wanted.
But they close. But it's going to be this year, too. It's still going to be a hardship.
But we're already contractually bound to do it this year. I mean, I actually thought last year was the last year. But there's nothing more I can give you.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, I think that what we have to talk about are street closures in general, because there is a study about it.
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay.
The idea is that the boulevard is the center of the city.
Right.
And it is where we have festivals, and it is where we celebrate being Lancaster versus anywhere else in the world. And, you know, I am not inclined to do away with those things. Before we started doing that, the boulevard was a ghost town. You know it. I know it. The biggest problem you had at that time was people defecating in the entryway. All of those issues are now gone. It's a vibrant center of the city, and I don't see us.
We have to get the people with discretionary income coming down and spending the money in the businesses. We have to figure out a way, because when they come down for the events, they aren't necessarily spending money in the businesses. There are food vendors on the street competing with the restaurants, which is an issue. And also, it's a lot of fast food issues. I mean, I'm on a mission to what you're on a mission, clean, fresh food. That's why I survive. And in this area, people do not spend their money necessarily in restaurants of that sort. But we can't, I mean, if Beck's is a really big restaurant, and Giannini's and Kinetic, they put their life savings in it. How are we going to get the people down here and in these restaurants and
when
thriving?
we put 30,000 people on the boulevard, it seems to me that if there was a product for people that people wanted, they would go there, wouldn't they?
Well, the boulevard is busy, Mr. Mayor. Yes, it is busy. But on Saturdays when we have the Pokemon event, it's packed. But they're not in the businesses spending money. They're not.
No,
the right discretionary
that's
income.
not true. They're not in your business.
No.
I mean, there's certainly other businesses that these kids would find attractive.
This is where I find target market. Okay, yes, I agree. My friends at the ice cream shop get some business from that and so forth. But we, on a regular basis, have to have the people with discretionary income coming back down, going, what is their attraction to coming down? We have 30-something kids that go to the brewery. That's wonderful. But they have to come all the time. If the street is closed and the people with discretionary income are bothered by street closures and don't come down, or every 3 years since I've been there that these big businesses are going off, I know, Mr. Mann, if your street was closed quite often, you would not be happy. I know for a fact.
Okay, so what if we do this? What if we quit all that stuff? We quit the farmer's market. We quit. Wait a minute. Let me finish.
Okay.
I mean, I really find I'm really upset about this.
Okay, good.
We took, but not because I'm upset about what you're saying. You were in a ghost town. You were in with more closed businesses than any place had ever seen. Because of a what was it, $100 million investment into that boulevard, it's now a vibrant center for the city, and that's not good enough. Now, I totally get the streets of Lancaster. I think that went on about 3 years longer than it should have, but nonetheless, all the other stuff. You're going to need a new mayor before we quit doing that.
I think
okay?
that it's good that when we have the farmers market, it's on the side streets instead of the thoroughway, because we have a parking issue. A lot of the apartments which I live in, they all use my parking or the parking lot for businesses. I've tried to negotiate with the landlords and the people. Can you during the business time not park in there? But I've also gone through 3 waves of, thank goodness, the homeless issue is being resolved. It really is. Talk about defecating on my front porch. That's happened over the 13 years, not just in the beginning. And the sheriff comes in, they know our issues with the skateboarders. And we know in 2013, I've asked you to please get rid of the skateboarders. I've waited 9 years. It's going to happen.
What do you suggest I do? Shoot them?
No, that's not it. It's
seriously.
They scare the patrons away.
Okay, so we passed ordinances.
Yes, and I'm excited that the skateboard
we have sheriff's department that are supposed to take their skateboards away from them, illegally, I might add. I mean, for heaven's sakes, it's a community.
Well, I think that if you look at the number of times that the skateboarders have had incidences with guests in my restaurant, it's not acceptable. I do look forward to, I didn't bring up the skateboarders because I know we have a skate park coming.
Yeah, there is that.
Yes. So, but we have to make sure whatever we're doing, these events, if we're closing the streets, that we're bringing people that are spending money to the boulevard.
Are there any events? Oh, wait a minute. We're bringing the wrong kind of people to the boulevard.
No.
Now,
you know what? I have a hard time.
I understand.
Mr. Mayor, I have a hard time when people invest their personal savings into a business on the boulevard and they don't succeed. We know some businesses will succeed and some businesses will not succeed. But it is more difficult on the boulevard than it is in other locations. And I am going to say it is because of street closures. That's one of the reasons. And another reason is parking.
If we hadn't done what we did in the boulevard, you wouldn't be there, and you know it.
I would still be there. My grandfather's business, George's Cleaners, has still been in business for 90 years. We are business people. I would still be there because I do manufacturing.
I can't believe we're having this conversation. I really can't believe we're having this conversation.
Well, if I didn't say something for the last time, we have to really be vigilant about how we can't just close the street. They closed the street again in front of my business the other day for an event, and it takes 20 parking spots away. 20, 30 parking spots for nothing to happen there.
Yeah, I agree that we should be doing something about the parking. I mean, we've been talking about putting a parking structure down there forever. But understand, when we do the parking structure, we're closing the street, and we're going to put a trolley on
I know.
it.
I went through redevelopment. It cost my business $200,000 to stay open for 9 months. I know. That was my down payment for my building. Because I built a brand, Mr. Mayor. I have 19 employees. They've been with me for 13 years. And I am not going, and you know, and it's not just Lancaster, it's California. When we raise minimum wage, those kids that work in the front of my restaurant make $25 an hour. This is their first job. They have minimum wage plus tips. This is their first job. I have to guide them through their first job.
So what you're doing is you're coming in here and you're telling us that you want us to stop all of the street closures on Lancaster Boulevard because the people that come down there don't frequent your restaurant.
No, that's not it. I do a lot of business. I have a lot of corporate businesses.
What?
I have a lot of corporate business. I have a lot of business outside the boulevard. My point is, for once, now that you said we're going to stop this, it's still going to incur closures on this boulevard of businesses. This for the streets of Lancaster this year. People are still going to suffer from it, Mr. Mayor. I know you're right, you have a contract, but we have all been there as a contract doing business, trying to survive. Some of these small businesses are still trying to survive. They go out every couple years. We talked about that. But I mean, some of the larger businesses that have had huge investments have gone out also. But I know at Avenue K and 10th Street in the last 10 years, a lot of the businesses there have not gone out of business. Most of them have not. In fact, Sandy, you had a business there. And most of those businesses in that neighborhood are still there. There's some kind of disconnect. There really is. Because the businesses on the boulevard should still be there, like Beck's and Giannini's. And we have to really think how we close the streets and how the parking is going to be and when it's open.
So
and not.
it's really your assumption that Beck's is no longer there because of the festivals we bring down to Lancaster?
No, I
Boulevard.
miscommunicated that. I think in general that we need to be able to get more people that are spending money down to the boulevard. I live in the neighborhood, Mr. Mayor. I live in the apartment right next door to the Lemon Leaf. And I love my neighbors. I love everybody that's in the community. I love the businesses. I talk with them on a daily basis, but they're not necessarily having the discretionary income to spend in these locations. They really aren't.
So what you're telling me is you want rich people down there?
No, I'm not saying I want rich people.
Well, what kind of people are you talking
We
about?
need
then?
more people that are spending money in other locations, something to draw them down here besides a festival, because the festival isn't going to necessarily draw them to the boulevard.
So what is the Boulevard Association proposing on all this? Help me out here.
As you know, we recently went through a transition with the Boulevard Association, so it's now returned to the Economic Development Division, and we have a new executive director.
Slower.
I'm sorry. So we have a new executive director serving that role since about April. So the communication she's gotten from the board as well as the marketing committee has consistently been that they would actually like to see more events and that is a good way to pull people down here. So we would absolutely welcome more input, and we actually have a slate of that we will be having the election in October, and we're taking applications for candidates now. We would love to have your wisdom on the board.
Let me say I apologize, Shannon, because the last event we had with the Great Race, there was a program that you put in place, I think it was the city, where they brought vouchers to all the guests that came to the boulevard so they could spend it in the restaurants on the day of the event. That brought business to the restaurants. But if we have all these food vendors, if we have the pizza vendor in front of the pizza place or the taco vendor in front of the taco restaurant, that's not really working for the small businesses. It really isn't. But that program was excellent. That's the first time it's been implemented in 9 years, and that worked. It was very successful.
So you guys did it right once.
That was actually the Boulevard Association.
Was it the Boulevard
Lancaster
Association?
that put that event on, and that was the idea behind that is so it wouldn't take away from the event, that it would actually enhance
Absolutely.
enhance
It
the
worked.
restaurants,
It worked.
and we had great feedback on that.
I
from
mean, the reason
participants.
I'm up here, Mr. Mayor, excuse me, I'm sorry, Sandy, I didn't mean to interrupt you, is because I've been living it for 9 years with the redevelopment and the closures, and I don't think I would have survived no matter where I am. I'm a survivor, and I have corporate clients, but we need the people to be coming into the businesses on a daily basis. But literally, if there's not parking or there's a street closure or they know something is coming up, and business people too. I have a lot of business Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from the courthouse, from the other areas of town that come in and frequent my business, now Don Sal's, Modern Tea Room, all of us. And when they know that they can't come down because the streets, they're going to be inconvenienced and they only have a half an hour for lunch, they don't come down.
Well, how often are we closing during the week?
For Streets of Lancaster specifically?
Yeah.
So-
No, not the streets of Lancaster. I mean, how often do we close
We close
Lancaster?
every Thursday for the farmers market.
Are you talking about that?
Well, I have to say that the farmers market is closed, but I'm not even going to go into the farmers market issue.
So we close for the farmers market each Thursday, and then we do 4 other events a year.
You know what, Mr. Mayor? It took years for me to ask them to open up the street. It's open now, so I'm not going to go there with the farmers market, but they would close the street in front of the Lemon Leaf and the businesses in front of me, and it was just left for no parking and no one. But finally, we got that issue resolved. But I just ask if we talk about something that it doesn't take 9 years for me to get a skateboard park.
Listen, for heaven's sakes, you're in my home. You're in my, at most Lancaster events, you're there. And I quite honestly don't remember ever having this conversation with you. Now, I am probably the most accessible mayor to you personally than any city in the country. Wouldn't you agree?
But yes, but we talked about it in the beginning, and I let it go. Because
that
I
was
thought,
12
it's gonna
years
get
ago.
through. No, it was 9 years ago, but I'm
Okay,
not going to.
9 years ago. There were a few things that have happened in the interim.
This is the thing. If this Streets of Lancaster stops, and it's not, this is a week-long issue. If we're going to stop the Streets of Lancaster next year, I'm going to be satisfied. If we're going to have events that are going to bring the people into the businesses and give them vouchers to spend in the businesses instead of the vendors on the street, then I'm satisfied with that. That sounds like a good negotiation.
Okay, you're going to quit beating me up now?
No. Well, the museum, that's the other issue.
What's wrong with the museum?
Well, there was an opening last week, and I didn't see anybody here at the opening. You have to understand that there are LA Times writers there, and now we are a cultural district. There are 8 cultural districts in the state of California. We're one of them. So I'm hoping that city council members or city staff will show up at some of these museum events, especially since Los Angeles County Museum will be housing some of their permanent collection in our museum when they are under construction. And I think that deserves just as much attention from our council and our city staff.
Well, that reminds me, the museum needs another person working there. Would you, in order to hold on to the
grant for that?
Yes. Grant for that. Would you? All right. Be sure you do. I mean, that museum is really coming along well.
Andy's doing an amazing job, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Really, and I'm so grateful that we have all these jobs with BYD and that we have jobs with Lance Campers and that you're bringing industry and we have all this solar happening and all these
I'm not doing
charging
it. They're
stations.
doing it.
Well,
Give them a break,
excuse
would
me,
you?
you're right. The whole
Jesus.
staff is doing
Bust-
it. You're right. The whole staff is doing it under your leadership and the city leadership. Jason, I'm glad you're there. But we have to also support the museum the same way we're supporting these other.
I agree.
I mean, I'm tired. I mean, I was on the board, and LA County Museum is one of the largest museums in the world. They have chosen our museum because of Andy's partnership with them to house permanent collections from that museum here in Lancaster.
It is truly remarkable what she's done. It truly is.
It is.
And I don't understand why Angela doesn't go to the museum openings.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry I got really upset about the Streets of Lancaster because I'm not the only one that suffers. A lot of little businesses suffer. If they have to close, they suffer.
What would I do if I didn't have a good fight every now and then? Right? You're good.
And by the way, I have an employee that needs a job who's going to law school. He just got into Southwestern in San Diego.
Southwestern. What do you mean?
No, California Western.
Okay. So what, I got to give him a job too?
Thank you.
So first year, second year?
First year. In January.
So you're just starting now?
In January.
You start in January. Mm-hmm. Okay, so come see me after your first year. Right?
I'll be here.
Okay, because it sounds to me like you already got a job, and I don't want to get beat up for stealing her employees now that I've stolen her customers. Okay?
No, actually, Mr. Mayor, if he could get into a law firm and have a job, I'd be really happy for that.
If you did what?
If he could get into a law firm and you took him away from me, I'd be happy so he had the experience before he goes to law school. Like I said, 28 kids have graduated from college or trade school working for me. And whenever they can get into it, as much as they are a great employee and I want to keep them, I want them to fly. So.
Evelyn, talk to him. See Evelyn. She'll get you in. We'll get an interview, okay?
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
But I don't want to hear any more about Streets of Lancaster if I give him a job. All right. Thank you. That was fun. So I thought we had a city clerk that kept track of the time or something. What the hell happened?
It did ring. It rang.
I think you went over your time.
I think I did too, but thank you.
Okay, so you used your time for the year.
Yeah, I used it, and I haven't been here for a while, so.
All right. What?
No, I was defending the city clerk. I asked her to shut the timer off.
Oh.
Thank you.
Liz Seelman. Okay, I'll be nicer, promise.
I don't know. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Liz Seelman. I'm a government relations manager for Southern California Edison.
Oh,
Thank you
no,
for,
I'm not.
I know. That's what I already knew it was coming. I hope you got it out. Did you get it out? I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about our wildfire mitigation plan. Senate Bill 901 requested investor-owned utilities to submit a wildfire mitigation plan in February. We did that. Shortly thereafter, it was approved. The majority of this plan we've also already been implementing for the past number of months. In terms of hardening our infrastructure, which basically means making our grid more fire resistant, we have replaced more than 183 miles of power lines with covered conductor. So these power lines are covered with an insulated material that mitigates for the risk of sparks when any sort of foreign object may touch them. Also, in extreme weather conditions, the lines may potentially touch each other. That too could create a spark. So putting the insulated wire on that material sort of mitigates for that issue. We intend to install 5,500 miles of covered conductor by 2025. That's sort of our 5-6 year plan. We're also adding more remote controlled automatic reclosers on circuits that are serving high fire risk areas. This is to prevent interrupted circuits from automatically re-energizing or turning back on. Typically those would send a bolt down. You would know that it tests good. It's basically like a circuit breaker. It would close, the line would turn back on. In these instances, under high fire risk areas, they actually stay open. We send somebody out and they patrol the line. To bolster our situational awareness capabilities, we've installed 200 localized weather stations across our service territory, and we plan to install 850 by 2020. There are a number of those here throughout the Antelope Valley. We've also installed 100 high-definition cameras.
What do you mean
Where are
weather
they?
stations? What do you mean?
So we have a website, Mesa West. I can share that with folks, and it's public information. You can go on. You can see exactly how many are in the city, how many are in and around the Antelope Valley. It'll tell you the wind speed. It's real-time information, the temperature, the wind speed. Again, public information, things that I've shared with staff, and I can certainly share with the council.
Okay, thank you.
We've also installed 100 high-definition cameras in remote areas. We intend to install 160 by 2020 as well. And we've recently launched a robust vegetation management program. We have a number of in-house arborists. We are looking at inspecting 900,000 trees a year. We are trimming 700,000. That equates to about 2,000 trees trimmed a day. Again, as mentioned, we have in-house arborists, so we know if those are dead, dying, or diseased trees. And then lastly, we have our public safety power shutoff. So there's a program which is a preemptive shutoff or de-energization of power to particular high fire risk circuits during extreme weather conditions. We have 2 circuits that impact the city of Lancaster. So the majority of those customers are in unincorporated LA County. However, there are a number of folks that are within city boundaries, and we've shared those maps. There's 2 circuits, 2 maps. They are shared with city staff, and they're also public information as well, sce.com/maps. Just to give a little bit of context, though, in 2018, we de-energized twice across our 50,000 square mile service territory. The number of folks that were impacted from the 2 times we shut off power was 150. That gives you sort of an idea of our switching capabilities and some of the advanced automation that we're putting into our system, just to really minimize the impact to the number of residents and customers that we have. We are...
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So when would you shut the power off for the Antelope Valley?
For the Antelope Valley or for the 2 circuits affecting the city of Lancaster? Or
either one.
Okay, either one. So we have a process, an entire process. We stand up an incident management team. Those folks, about 4 to 7 days out, are doing predictive modeling. We have in-house meteorologists. They're doing predictive modeling and analytics. They are deciding if this sort of weather forecast may be coming. If we predict that it may still be coming about 3 days out, we stand up an incident management team. We are then notifying county officials, first responders, emergency coordinators. We are discussing with them basically what are the impacts on these particular circuits and what are in terms of essential care customers and others and other facilities. Those are a couple of things. The third thing we're doing is...
So what type of event would affect Lancaster?
Multiple things. High temperatures, low humidity.
Why do high temperatures affect it?
Why does it affect it?
Why do high temperatures affect it?
So there's a fire triangle. One of the main things that we're looking at is heat, the vegetation in a particular area, the wind speed, the fuel conditions, low humidity, all of those things sort of, as you put them together in a predictive modeling, dictates that there's a high or an extreme risk for fire.
And why the change?
The change from when?
They burned down Malibu. That's why.
So that's a good question. In terms of this public safety power shutoff, this is a protocol we've had for a number of years. We have the authority, of course, through the Public Utilities Commission. This isn't anything new. We never had to implement it in the past. We did implement it one time in 2003. Since then, we did not have to. I would say about 2 years ago was the first time we started to formalize the program because of the disasters that have taken place, public safety, and the fact that we do not want to ignite a fire. So you're correct in saying that.
I'm correct. So he's correct because you burned down Malibu?
You're correct in saying that we have public safety and a desire to not have any ignitions from our equipment in order to protect your residents and our customers.
That has to be a huge expense. What's the cost?
For the wildfire mitigation plan, so for example, it built off of what we called a grid safety and resiliency plan, which was $582 million. And the exact number for 2019, I can get to you.
So why didn't you just bury the lines?
Underground?
Yeah.
That's a conversation that we're having. And there's pros and there's cons, and I think we know the cost incurred from undergrounding and trying to make things affordable for ratepayers is one consideration. Remote areas, it's very hard to bury underground, and these are the areas with the highest extreme risk. But that's a conversation we're going to have with more cities.
I see. Okay.
So.
Yeah, one more.
Sure.
Aren't you really doing this to scare the public so the PUC will change the way that they look at you or make you exempt from that liability?
Scare the public so that we're exempt?
Yeah, I see the notices in the paper, you're going to shut everyone's power down. So when it comes out that you're liable for that, for the big fires, or what you said that you were liable for, isn't it part of all that? This is why you've changed your policy? Isn't it proactive to change the public's mind about how they look at you?
A couple of different things. One is about 27% of our service territory is considered high fire risk area. This public safety power shutoff would only impact about 27% of our customers.
Are we part of that?
You have two circuits that impact this particular city.
Are we part of the 27% you just mentioned?
There is, I don't know the percentage of the city boundaries, but I would say, I won't even give a percentage, but it's a very small portion of the city. So the answer is yes, although significantly small portion of residents in Lancaster will be impacted by PSPS, assuming that we implemented it. And as mentioned, last year we implemented it twice. Those 2 times, Angeles Forest, San Bernardino Forest, and as mentioned, about 150 people were impacted, which, again, is more than we want. But for the threat, it was what we had to do.
You know, Marvin raises an interesting point. You're a public utility, very similar to a city, a government agency. Not a whole lot of difference other than people get to pocket some money out of it, right?
Yes, we're regulated by it.
But why is it that both you, the gas company, you without hesitation will hire public relations companies to spin a message to mislead the public? How do you justify that?
Well,
I could see you doing it if you were Ford Motor Company, you know. I can't see a public utility doing it. First of all, you're using the public money to pay the people to tell you how to deceive them, right?
There's a couple of things there. One is obviously we have shareholder funds, and then we have ratepayer funds. Both of those can be impacted by the wildfire mitigation work that's taking place. On the other hand, we are a public utility. You're absolutely right, and we are mandated to serve everyone, whether or not they're in a high fire risk zone or they want to build a house in the middle of the mountains. We have to provide service to them. We can't pick and choose who we give power to. That's our job.
Wait a minute, that's not my question, is it?
My question is, I think it's a good part of the answer because we are servicing everyone. That's a requirement, and we have to do it in a way, that's safe for everyone. So, again, sort of mitigating the risks. Some people are low priority. You're in the middle of Lancaster Boulevard. That's a low risk, but actually, in a lot of ways, you're probably
did she just
subsidizing.
Say throwing a party in the middle of Lancaster Boulevard?
You're probably subsidizing, in a sense, some of the folks that are in more remote locations. But again, that's because we're mandated to serve all.
The more I get involved with public utilities, the more appalled I am. You know, the deceit that you perpetuate on the public is beyond comprehension. I'll give you that Edison isn't as bad as Southern California Gas, but you're both pretty bad in regards to not being transparent and being deceptive in the messaging that you give people. And it just seems to me you'd be a lot more profitable if you were just transparent with all of it. Am I missing something?
Well, I respectfully disagree, and I can give you some customer service percentages and things that we've gathered from our customers and how they feel like we provide service and customer excellence. So I'm happy to share that with the council as well.
So do you tell them how you were overcharging them for decades and telling them that solar power was going to raise their rates through the roof, and then when it came along you had to cut your rates by about, what, 75%? Isn't that what they cut them? Per kilowatt? I mean, and were you being totally candid with your customers when you told us that there was no way you could convert to LED lighting on the street lights, so we bought the street lights and did it ourselves in, 3 months? I mean, seriously.
I think we install probably, every 6 minutes, one solar panel. And obviously the state has greenhouse gas emission goals that they're trying to meet by 2030, and we're sort of a part of that plan as well. So when we talk about
all I'm suggesting is that if you would be more honest with your ratepayers, they might be more sympathetic when a crisis does occur. And by the way, have they given us power for the grow houses we're doing?
No, we need.
It's been difficult to provide them energy. They do not have energy for the marijuana grows. The amount of energy necessary is difficult.
Are you punishing the city of Lancaster because we don't listen to your spin doctors, and we actually challenge what you tell us when we know it's not true? I mean, why is it you can't provide us with the power that we need?
I can talk to Jason more about that, sort of offline.
Why don't you talk to her?
We're not doing. I'm willing to do it.
And maybe they can tell us why they're not giving us. We honestly think that you're doing it as retribution.
I didn't know you didn't like us.
What?
I didn't know you didn't like us.
I can safely say no, we do not like you. You have fought us. You have fought us at every step of the way. You fought the CCAs. You fought. Am I wrong about any of this?
We're mandated to remain neutral.
That's right. You were mandated, and then you tried to do away with it when your ratepayers ended up paying such a substantially lower rate. Am I wrong? Am I right? Help me out here. Just tell me if I'm wrong.
No, you're correct. We have a good working relationship with Southern California Edison with regard to CCAs, but there are difficulties and challenges in that relationship. There's no question about that.
And what I'm asking you is it retribution?
No.
Then what steps are you taking to fill the power needs we have?
I think we've been working pretty hand in hand with your city to make sure that the needs that are here in the town are being met. So if they're not, we can have a conversation offline.
Are they being met?
There are certain users that are unable to get power as a result of their amount of use in a timely and kind of efficient manner.
But Jason, isn't it true that we're having problems with Southern California Edison as far as our billing through the CCEA in regards to they forgot to bill for an entire month, so we have to go back and explain to our customers why they didn't do their job?
Correct. There were 15,000 customers that were improperly billed by Edison. There was a disclaimer on the bill identifying that problem, but yeah, we deal with billing challenges regularly.
And quite frankly, I'm glad you're proud of the fact that your ratepayers are so supportive of you, but I think that if we sent out a program telling them what was actually going on, that may not be the case. Don't you think? I mean, for heaven's sakes, I want Southern California Edison to do their job and give the city of Lancaster the power they need in order for us to thrive. Would you talk to your bosses about that, please?
Absolutely, and these are shared customers. So
I'm sorry, what?
these are shared customers. We have an incentive to do the same. So, and I will take the message back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I blame Marvin. He spun me up. George Betty, come on down.
Hey, she needed to be spun up.
What?
She needed to be spun up.
Good.
Mayor Paris, Vice Mayor Chris, council members, I congratulate you on your success on everything you're doing. And from what I'm getting on this meeting so far, what's the name of the AV electrical company that's taken over?
Lancaster Choice Energy?
Yeah. Are they putting the wires underground?
No, Southern California Edison is doing all the transmission.
Oh, okay.
We generate the product.
Now,
they transfer it.
Okay. I congratulate the gentleman here going to law school, but I don't think you have to go to law school to look at city having doors open from future lawsuits. There's a chair right here in your chambers that's about ready to fall over. And I got out of it and moved over one. Why is it there in the chambers?
I told Marvin to quit sitting in those chairs.
Now, school safety. Some years ago, I presented a plan down at the Canyon High School with Dr. White, then principal at that high school. These parents that drop off students at the high school and junior high, what we used to call it, middle school now, give them parent passes, groups of 2, 4, to walk around those campuses and have 2, 4, 6, how many ever they could get volunteer in the morning, 10, 15 minutes. You don't need more than that. You got students over there that are bullies. You got students that are selling drugs. I'm not in here to discuss which schools because all the students know which schools. And within 6 to 8 weeks, lunchtime, have the same parents do their carousing. 10, 15, 20 minutes, that's all they need. At the end of school, when they're picked up, same thing. Have them go in, small groups, 2, 4 parents, parent passes. Little by little, 6 to 8 weeks, the children are going to be brainwashed into thinking, oh, there's so-and-so's mother. See me after school. You're going to eliminate the drug trafficking on the schools. You're going to eliminate the bullying and quite possibly assist any, now we got sheriffs assigned to elementary schools, okay? You could even have them touch bases with the sheriff if they're seeing anything and respond faster, because I hate like hell to have one of the schools out here be faced with a situation like we've been hearing on the news media. And I'm baffled that the schools didn't like it back then. I got the response that they thought the parents would be seeing the teachers not doing their job, so they shut it down. They didn't want to do it. But I'd like to see somebody maybe present that to the school system here.
Go to the school board. Go to the school board and tell them.
Well, they don't listen to me. They don't listen to the citizens.
Guess what? They don't listen to me either.
Well, I just wanted to let you know my input on it.
Thank you.
I didn't want to take the time everybody else was doing.
Thank you.
David, come save me. Come on.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, good evening again. I'm here to talk about Shannon, but I want to say something about the lemon leaf. We love the lemon leaf, and last week I was downtown during the teen event at MOA to wrap up the Summer of Impact event, and it was vital and exciting. And as I was walking around waiting for my boys to enjoy the teen event, I saw Steve Baker and Rick Cook and their wives coming out of the Lemon Leaf, going there deliberately to patronize the establishment that the city loves. So there's no shortage of love for the Lemon Leaf. Now,
I don't know. She's pushing it tonight.
I just wanted to say a couple things about Shannon. I love Shannon, and I think this is the story of Shannon's life. It's not that life didn't wear her down. It's that she was tougher than that. She believed in the greater good. We had many conversations, and that's a touchy subject all in itself, about how you achieve the greater good. But her moral compass was always pointing in that direction. And she faced adversity like there was no other choice but to accept it and then deal with it. And she was certainly a force unto herself, and she was tougher than all of it. And I tell you, it's no secret that she had a rough upbringing. And I was at an event once where I filmed her. I have the tape. I wouldn't watch it again because it's just too painful. But it was an ACLU event that she was talking about bullying in the foster care system. And she talked about being a 14-year-old child with an infant of her own being placed in foster care. And as she went into the house, there were two adult males on the couch sitting there that she figured were planning on who would rape her first. And actually they both did, and she put up with all of that to protect her child because they threatened to take her baby away from her. So for the love of her child, she was tougher than that, and that's how my friend was. You know, it's said that the true depth of a bond cannot be felt until the parting comes, and I think I remember that every day with her. You know, it was a pleasure to know her, and she was my friend, and she will inspire us all with her example of pushing through adversity till the end of time. And I just want to say I am so sorry it was so hard on her, but I am so proud that she was tougher than all that. Thank you.
Thank you. Fran?
Well, it's hard for me to speak because of Shannon. I had other things to talk about, but Shannon was my friend also. I got to meet her children. I'm going to miss her a lot. I just thank you for all you have done for her while she was here, because I know she told me a lot of what you all did for her. And at this point, I guess that's really all I really can say right now, because what I want to say can't compare to what I'm feeling right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Fran. Any comments from the City Council? We all good?
Good.
Shannon McDonald was a longtime resident of Lancaster and a very active, committed member of the community who gave generously of her time and energy to improve life in Lancaster. Shannon served as a member of the city's Architectural and Design Commission, volunteer for Lancaster School District, and mentor for foster youth, as well as high-risk youth within the community through her employment with Children Youth Family Collective. Shannon McDonald touched the lives of many people throughout the community and will be missed by her family, friends, the community, and the city. Her funeral is Saturday. I hope that the other commissioners, if possible, attend. I think she is a huge loss to us. Very few people have the courage and grit to continue to push back against a world that so often pushes so hard against them. I liked her a great deal. I'm going to miss her a great deal, and I hope to see you Saturday. The next meeting is Tuesday, September 10, 2019 at 5 p.m. We're done. Thank you.